Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dinner time is here. That's right, we're talking about Season 3, Episode 4 of Hannibal on Dish by Dish. Well, greetings and salutations, and it's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from the beautiful city of Florence. This is the Dish by Dish show. It's a project of Kill by Kill. We talk about an episode of Hannibal that we just watched, and we hope we have a good time doing it. And of course, there's only one person I trust, that if I have just been gutted, she'll bring me a lovely bouquet of flowers to perk me up. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
I would bring you flowers if you were gutted, if you had shattered your spine into 14 pieces. I'd be there for you.
Everyone really does seem to recover from what should be injuries you don't recover from.
Yeah, they're fine. They're fine. Everybody on this show is vampire. That you can't kill them.
Raul Esparza especially. When he takes out his palate and half his face sinks, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, he got shot in the face. Everybody shot straight in the face
after being gutted in season 1.
And having his intestines pulled out on a spool, like a regular The Cell.
Yeah, so somebody had to put them back in and sew him up, and he's fine now. He's looking good. He's making moves.
Really, this is the Dr. Chilton hour, if there's anyone. And he's a pick-me. He's throwing it out there to anyone who will listen. Listen, you and me, we're in this together, baby. And they're like, fuck off.
Yeah, let's kill him. Come on, let's kill him.
A disfigured child molester to pair up with. I'd rather work with that guy than you.
Honestly, I mean, really, I think at this point, I kind of had to go with Chilton. I mean, really.
Yes.
I mean, they're both
over
they're
Mason
both
Verger. Yeah, I'm going with Chilton.
They're both gonna fuck you over in the end, but I feel like that Chilton would not feed you to pigs.
Yes, Chilton is not actively dangerous. He's passively dangerous because he's dumb, right? I mean,
right, and he's dumb and thinks that he's smarter than everybody else.
Right. Yes.
Which clearly you would think that once you've been gutted and been shot in the face, and the same person is responsible in different ways for those incidents, you would not try to continue pursuing this person.
Yeah, no. Or thinking that you have some sort of special dominion that would make that person respect you, or like all these people know you are an active fucking fraud who led to multiple deaths that did not need to happen because you wanted the fucking spotlight. They don't want any fucking part of you. Like, even Mason Verger is kind of like, you know what? I'm going to go with somebody who I can vaguely have a conversation with. when a guy who doesn't really have the lower half of his face is like, I don't know, I'd like to look at somebody prettier. That is telling you something.
Yeah, he kind of looks like, we should point out that Mason Verger is now played by a different actor. I don't know what happened with Michael Pitt, but...
nor do I. I don't know if he got busy or he simply did not want to continue to work in Canada, or, he had something else scheduled, thought that maybe his character would be dead or something.
I mean, he should be.
Yeah.
Everybody on this show should be dead. You should not recover from
carving your own face and feeding it to dogs. That should put you to bed.
Everybody on this show should be dead several times over. But yeah, he still looks like James Urbaniak from the hair down to about the top of his nose. Mm-hmm. And then the lower half of his face. Like, remember that episode of The Twilight Zone where you have the really beautiful woman that everybody she's convinced that she's ugly because she looks different from everybody, and everybody else has these kind of weird sort of frog faces.
Right. Yeah.
He kind of looks like that.
Yeah.
And for some reason, he's now talking like an old 20s gangster. Now, see here, Margot.
It is he's kind of handcuffed a little bit to what Michael Pitt was doing. And I would not want to be the person who follows Michael Pitt in the characterization game. Let's put it that way. That being said, yes, it's a little Tin Pan Alley. It feels like he's like selling what should be encyclopedias out of a jalopy, and it turns out to be an empty box. I'm not sure what that's a reference to, but that's how it comes across.
It makes sense. It's like a 1920s snake oil salesman.
Yeah, like a huckster is what he sounds like now. So it should be noted that this particular episode, as we follow tradition here on Hannibal, is named Apertivo. Apertivo is a pre-meal drink, and the experience of an aperitivo is kind of a cultural ritual. It's a tradition meant to, quote, open the stomach before dining. There are all sorts of aperitivos, and they're regional. Generally, it's connected to whatever the local crop is. So if you live in a place where you guys, you're farming artichokes, they'll make an aperitivo of artichokes, and it's called Sinar, if I remember that correct. I might not be saying it correctly, but there's all sorts of aperitivos. And so we open this particular, we already discussed it with Raul Esparza, just trying to have a semi-okay conversation with known pedophile Mason Verger. And for whatever reason, Mason's like, I can do better. And what we do learn is that Mason has issued a $1 million reward for information leading to Hannibal, but not necessarily to get him arrested.
Well, no. He just wants him brought to him. One thing I love about this scene is like you kind of forget. Well, okay, the show does open with like a nice little diagram showing that bullet going right through Chilton's face and out the back of his head.
Oh man!
And again, it's like, okay, Brian Fuller, we love you, but he is not surviving that injury. When you have a bullet go through your face and out the back of your skull, you're just kind of, face planting right into, the table you're sitting in front of.
Like, what's holding the back of his neck up is my question. Like, so it went through the soft palate and it took out a bunch of teeth.
He should not be able to talk, for one thing.
Yes.
But he's talking quite clearly. Has some sort of like implant that holds his face up. That he looks perfectly normal until he takes it out, and it's like, bleh.
Yeah, it's a Skyfall situation. Yeah,
but I do love how this scene is framed, where like Mason Verger wants to see what he looks like under all his makeup and all, and it's almost like eroticized, like a scene where like, okay, I'm gonna take my shirt off. Now you take your shirt off.
Like, let's see each other at our ugliest, so that we have no secrets.
Right.
Wipes the makeup off, and Mason has this Transformers mask that he puts on that is comprised of 4 or 5 different parts. Boy. But what it comes down to is Mason Verger's like, I can do better than you, pal. So what's a guy like Chilton to do? Well, why not visit your old pal Will, who, once again, what kind of benefits does this section of the FBI get? He gets the biggest fucking hospital rooms.
And all by himself, too.
Yeah. He's not sharing that massive living room that is curtained on both sides like it's in a music video from 1984 or The Hunger. It's just gigantic wood paneled unto himself. And so Chilton comes in and is like, hey, we've both been suckered by Hannibal, as if he's been a part of this conversation or something. And he basically kind of comes off like a Will fanboy.
Yeah. You're incredibly smart. You were the only one that could get through to him.
Yeah. And only I can help you. How I helped you the last time into my mental institution. And he pretty much proposes, I think you should live in my mental institution. Like, no.
Why not?
It's a hard pass for me. Been there, done that, not looking to repeat it. Nice flowers. Thank you so much. Why don't you fuck right off? And this particular episode seems to fly fast and loose with the time frame, right? We're all over the place. The end of season 2 just happened, but now it's like a whole year later, or it's been 6 months, or it's been 3 weeks. It's all over the place. I don't know exactly when all of these incidents take place.
Well, yeah, you've got Alana who landed back first on a concrete sidewalk from at least 2 stories. Yeah, then she's at the hospital, bruised up. She's got some kind of like the halo thing, I guess, kind of holding her spine together.
I think it's her. They really focus on her pelvis, so I think it's they're glued her pelvis back together,
and then she's just barely limping with a cane after that.
Yes, she's moving beautifully. But the next thing that happens, kind of chronologically in terms of the flow of the episode, is Jack going to Wolf Trap and asking Will, like, "Hey, just so we can get our story straight, so you called Hannibal in advance." And he's like, "Why would you do that?" And it's like, "Oh, I don't know. I wanted him to run. And maybe I wanted to run along with him and be murder husbands together."
I kind of maybe like him a little bit, like him.
Want him to be my boyfriend. And Jack's like, "Oh, yeah, I made some mistakes. I made some serious mistakes.
This was all a really bad idea.
I got 2 very attractive guys together, and they got both murderous and horny at the same time next to one another, and it fucked up this whole investigation. And he should be out at the FBI. He should not still be working there at all."
No.
So then we flash back to Alana in that halo, and Chilton is like, "Hey, you had sex with Hannibal, and I wanted to fuck him over. That's pretty much the same thing. Why don't we Wonder Twin powers activate?" And she's like, "I don't know how this machine works." And she just starts dialing up her middle finger at him.
Here's the Mason Verger also references the fact that Alana has had sex with Hannibal. And it's like, how do they know this?
That's the thing. Like, how do they? I mean, I guess they were very flirty and out in the open at that one party they all attended. So I think it was kind of out in the open that they were at least fucking.
Well, all right.
And it was legal for them to do. There's no law in the books that says Alana couldn't fuck a guy she did not happen to believe was a cannibal at the time. So she's skating on that one on a technicality.
Whomst among us, hasn't dodged a bullet in our day.
I mean, if he proposes it, honestly, if he proposes it to me, I'm going to listen, I don't enjoy the whole cannibal thing, but you are exceedingly hot, and your cheekbones, I could cut like tin cans with, like those scissors they used to sell on television.
I can compartmentalize, that's your life,
Yeah. So then we flash forward to Alana's now out of the hospital, and Will's out of the hospital, and she wheels herself into Hannibal's house. And apparently everyone can get into this fucking house and when did his house become so wheelchair accessible?
I was going to say his house always says he had a lot of corners.
Right.
And a lot of sharp edges. That does not seem to be disabled friendly.
No, but this is now like the second sort of wheelchair packing mama who's been in and out of there, because Dr. Abel was being wheeled hither and thither throughout that entire place. So it seemed to have a lot of stairs in season 1, and then that all went away. How is Hannibal getting Dr. Abel up and down from the murder basement up to the kitchen?
Just doing the fireman's carriage, putting him over his shoulder like a beautiful lady. Also, he's getting a little smaller each time. Eventually, he's just a torso. Yeah, I could probably
cutting weight, but
I could probably pick up a grown man who's just a torso.
But you're gonna need straps, right? Like eventually it's gonna be like that guy hauling around his sister on Demon Slayer, an anime show that my son watches that I kind of pay attention to while it's on, but not really.
Just you strap him to your back like
Yoda.
I was thinking that, or from Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. The
he's a master
blaster, yeah.
But essentially, like he's figured out his own like rough and tumble workout routine. Where it's like, I can't get to a gym, but I can hoist this one guy I'm slowly eating and torturing.
I mean, it works. He looks great.
That's true. He looks fantastic. What's his diet again? What's his secret? Eating the rude.
Maybe we should all try just keeping someone in our house and dragging them upstairs, cutting off a piece of them, eating it, dragging them back downstairs.
We got to save something for 2025, Gina.
Exactly.
By year 9 of this podcast, we'll all have one guy we're slowly eating. Oh man. Anyways, Will's kind of a dick to her. I'll be honest with you. He's not in a position to act like a dick to Alana. I just don't think he's in a position to do that.
He's not really in a position to act like a dick to anyone at this point.
He really isn't. Like, he's fucked up a lot of shit, right? They all paid for it, right? People getting slashed by the neck, pushed out of windows. Alana says the word defenestration, and I got a little aroused. I'll be honest with you. We love defenestration on this podcast. Like, we were a defenestration forward podcast for a very long time.
Yes, we always loved defenestrating.
But then Alana, at some time past this point, of course, ends up at the Verger farm. And
she immediately becomes a lesbian.
Well, here's the deal. When Margot enters the scene, I think most people become a lesbian. That's just what happens. It's the same but opposite of what is happening with Hannibal. They're too fucking hot. And if I was in Alana's shoes and the last two guys I had feelings for, one was accused of being a cannibal, but also sent somebody to kill my boyfriend who turned out to be that cannibal, maybe it's time to get out of the guy game. And
you're not wrong.
New things.
You're not wrong. But yeah, I love how this scene is framed where she meets Margot, and like you can almost see in her eyes, like, well, I like women now.
Listen, I might not before. I will say there are Pornhub previews that are more subtle than Alana and Margot's flirtations, but I'm also not complaining. And I, as a sidebar, I kind of had to wonder, and I don't know the answer to this. Do you think this was originally meant to be episode 1? Because, and this is not a complaint. I'm just saying, as far as like the shifting time and playing with structure, it feels like, even with the name Apertivo, this was meant to come first, to set the table. And then it would probably end with Hannibal killing Dr. Fell.
It does feel strange to have such a flashback heavy episode 4 episodes into the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like recapping what has happened to these characters.
Yes. But at some point we needed to learn this information. And that's the thing. Like, I don't know, a less interesting show probably would have put it at the front, but it also feels like it was designed to be the pickup after season 3, or at least episode 2, right?
Yeah.
Where, okay, we know exactly the state of play when it comes to Hannibal. Now, what's everyone else doing? And then we would find out. But to have like Will just show up in Italy and then go off to Castle Dracul / Lecter and then have this, it strikes me as odd. I'm not complaining. It's just,
I think it also adds to this. We've kind of driven this point home a couple times already since we started this season, but
Mhm.
don't expect anything in this season to make any sense.
That's true.
At times, it feels like, particularly in this episode and the next episode, it feels almost like an Ingmar Bergman movie where everybody is like, sort of frowning and like lit in shadow, and nobody's ever in the same frame together. So like, you have like this particular scene, you have Will murmuring something, and then Alana murmuring something, and then Will murmuring something, and then she walks away and he looks sad, and it's like, and this isn't a criticism, but you have each season has a very different tone to it. Like the first season is fairly close to a crime procedural with really outlandish horror, really outlandish murder scenes. Second season, it's a little more, everything's a little more eroticized, and then season 3 really leans into the surrealism. So it makes sense to maybe not have everything be linear as far as when this takes place, and when this person is suddenly walking around again, and when this person is called in to be a to oversee another case. It just sort of adds that overall feeling of I don't know what the hell we're doing, I don't know where we are, I don't know what day it is.
Yeah. It's weird over the course of how it played out. It was very procedural-esque in that first season, as you said. And then once they, put Will into the institution, you had to play that out. Like, they still tried to play with that formula by having him consult and almost be a Hannibal-like consultant within the prison. And there were still things going on where he was still involved on some level. But that was like, you had to get him out or change the dynamic of it for the show to get back to a different type of status quo. Whereas this particular season is definitely bifurcated. There are two stories at play here. There is Hannibal's Italian adventure and then Red Dragon. Those are the stories we're going to tell at this point.
When really, in a perfect world, Red Dragon just would have been its own separate season. Yes. But then you kind of, up to a certain point, Hannibal's removed from that story, and then it isn't Hannibal anymore.
Yeah. And that's a component that just wasn't going to work for 13. And I feel like Brian Fuller and company felt like we have to pull this trigger. Because if we don't, like this season, probably, if you go by normal metrics, shouldn't have happened. But NBC is like, there's a cult here. People are talking about it. It gets such great reviews. If we just give it one more swing, and if they had renewed it one more time, I think the audience that eventually found it on Netflix would have caught up, and they would have been thrilled to find it on NBC the following spring.
For sure.
What are we going to do? We can't change everyone's business practices. So it was nice to see Bella dropping back in here. Obviously not very long for the world. And I can't say that the Jack and Bella stuff doesn't, like, I openly wept. If you have a character like that and they are going through those emotions and it's a cancer storyline, that connects with me, man. It just does. Sure.
Yeah, no, it's beautifully done. And it's like a rare, genuine emotional moment in a whole series in which, you can't trust the feelings that you have for anybody or the feelings they might have for you.
Yeah. And Chilton's really helping a local florist make rent for the month, because every time he shows up, he's got another bouquet. So
he just got a bunch of them in his car.
I guess so. He's just passing by the local cemetery. He goes, "Give me what you got, a whole load." Yeah. And then on top of it, the florist in town is now taking messages from Hannibal the Cannibal.
Yeah, just conveniently.
Yeah, I wrote this lovely note. Please send this bouquet. He wants to be caught. That's what it comes down to. Hannibal wants to be fucking caught, because there's no reason for him to constantly ankle himself about staying on the run. Like, he would be fine if it weren't for his, I need to get truffles and wine and constantly kill people. Like, he should slow that down. Kill some people you don't know.
Yeah, well, that's what we were saying in the last episode, that he's not going out of his way to not call attention to himself. And even, Bedelia pointed that out to him. Like, you can't keep killing people in the same social circle.
Right.
It's going to come back on you pretty quickly.
Yeah. Bedelia, again, either in a heroin haze. I'm not entirely sure what her deal is. If she's just that drunk or she's disassociating. I mean,
yeah,
this is a choice.
I think she just kind of checked out, like, mentally at this point.
But she does like the wine and the truffles. She likes seafood for dinner. Like, she's got a great bathtub. Things are coming up Millhouse for her left and right. And she's kind of protective of it. Like, hey, we had a plan. We would come here. You would assume somebody's identity. You would lay low, kill the occasional rude person, because that's what you do. But I've come to accept that. But you don't don't fuck up, all right? Don't shit in your house, basically.
Right.
And Hannibal wants to take a shit in the house, and no one can stop him. He's getting high on his own fucking supply.
He would be appalled that you would put it that way.
He would be. I would be on the menu.
You would just be a rack of ribs.
Listen, my ribs are looking a lot better these days. I'm cutting my own weight, and I don't have to lop off a limb to do it, baby. That's right. And then we meet one character who will become more important the farther we go, and his name is Cordell. And he's a wonderful change of pace for this show. He's an easy listening kind of psychopath.
Where do these people all find each other?
The thing is, like, you swing a dead cat and you hit somebody who's capable of murder on the show.
I just think it's funny. Like, just everybody has either seriously thought of or has definitely killed someone.
Definitely capable of murder. They can pull it off for you, and you can conspire with them.
The best you can hope for is that maybe they won't murder you at some point.
Yes.
But they might.
They might. I don't know how anyone enters into a contract with fucking Mason Verger. I just, that to me seems like a bad idea. But
Well, I think the whole thing is here. Everybody thinks that they have something on each other. That, you won't do anything to me. You won't betray me because I know your secrets. But I don't think Mason Verger really cares very much if you know his secrets.
Because he's rich enough not to fucking care. I mean, every day we get proof of being too rich to care about shit. I mean, this won't make a lot of difference when this comes out. We're trying to do some things in advance, so we're not always behind the eight ball here, especially with summer coming up. But like today, as of this recording, Elon Musk was like, hey, this guy should be the mayor of Los Angeles. First of all, you left this fucking state, A, because you were under investigation for shitty working conditions. And two, you said the state is onerous to my business, so I'm going to leave for Texas. So get the fuck out. If Elon Musk says this guy has good ideas, that person is not someone you should be fucking trusting with anything, let alone being the local dog catcher or mayor. Like Rick Caruso, holy fuck, what an asshole this guy is.
Right, but because Musk has money, people equate that with, well, they must be very smart.
Yes. And he's smart enough to buy businesses that were created by smart people. Yeah.
Right. I mean, but, if Mason Verger had any shame for what he was doing or worried about being caught, he wouldn't do it. That's how these things work. That is how criminals operate. So the idea is, well, I will team up with this guy. because he's not going to betray me or hurt me or do it or, literally stab me in the back because, I know his secrets.
Yeah.
He gets rid of me, all hell will break loose. Well, he doesn't care.
He truly does not. He's very single-minded as to what his mission is now. He's very focused on Hannibal Lecter. And we'll see how that works out for him. Poor Cordell seems like a great nurse. We'll see if he's a great psychopath. Who knows?
He looks like he gives a great facial.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a sexual sense. I mean that he literally puts something on Mason's face, and I assume kind of softens the healing tissue. And makes it less painful. So
the thing that I did not remember from not having watched this in quite a long time is that Will sailed across the Atlantic Ocean.
Who is funding this whirlwind trip through Europe?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, is he living in hostels? I mean, he can't sail to Lithuania. I guess he sailed to Italy, but I don't know. It gets even weirder the next episode, but we won't worry about that for another 2 weeks. Next week, we'll have a regular episode of Kill by Kill. And Josh Hollis does all of our artwork. Revenge Body does all of our music. If you want this remix or any of our themes, go to bandcamp.com/Revenge Body and pick it up for a great price. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about movies and television at thespool.net. Recent review I have done is of David Cronenberg's Crimes of the Future, which is very good, and you should go see it. It'll probably be out on streaming by the time this comes out because that's the way things work now.
That's true, yes.
And I am on Twitter and Instagram under Gina Does Things.
Do it today, people. Check it out. Please rate and review us on your podcatcher of choice, whether that's Apple, Google, Spotify, Good Pods, pod reviews, all of it. We have a link tree. Go to our link tree and it'll tell you all the places that you can go to rate and review us or support us. Find us on socials, our Patreon, where we last month we watched Alley Cat, a great, fantastic 1984 lady karate movie, and of course the Rob Zombie version of Halloween, and so much more to come this next month on Patreon. It's a bargain at twice the price, I promise you. But don't worry, folks, the body count will continue. For myself and for Gina, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.